G'day everyone, and welcome to another video. At the end of our last video I hinted about there being an issue with the van, which we were having some trouble with the starter. Well, we went to Coober Pedy and we had a mechanic have a look at it there. He wasn't able to help us because it was behaving perfectly alright while we were there, but he suggested that at Port Augusta we could take it to the Iveco dealer there, who have a big heavy vehicle garage. So we did that. We took it to Port Augusta. We were able to call ahead and they squeezed us in. Northeast Isuzu in Port Augusta, they were really good, got us squeezed in even though their schedule was already full. Took a look at the van and they agreed the issue was the starter. There was a problem with the starter motor, which was actually a new starter motor when we bought the van, but it was an aftermarket one. Anyway, they diagnosed it as being an issue with the starter and they had one in stock, which is great, and so they were able to replace it for us, and we got most of the cost of that covered under the warranty that the car dealer gave us with the purchase of the van. So I've never been really a big fan of used car warranty, third-party warranties like that, and I generally would refuse to pay for one, but it was included as part of the deal when we purchased the van, and we're pleased for that. It was good. And actually, shout out to Challenge Motor Company in Adelaide where we bought the van, because I gave the salesman there a call while we were in Port Augusta to let him know what had happened, and he was able to track down the details of the warranty and give me the number that I needed to call, sent me through some documentation just to make it easier, and gave us some coaching on what we needed to do to make sure that the warranty would get approved. So that was really great. And we've been able to move on. So didn't shoot much video around Port Augusta. There's a little bit from the Australian Arid Lands Botanic Garden, which is coming up next, but make sure you stick around till the end of this video for a bit of a hint about where we are now, where I'm shooting this segment of video from. So stick around till the end. This is Lake Bombunga. Don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Road train. It's a big wide land. Believe it or not, what you see behind me is a botanic garden. It's the Australian Arid Landscapes Botanic Garden here in Port Augusta. Quite an interesting place.
There's a man in the desert. He's got water.
Doesn't have a horse with no name.
Oh. We're in the outback. We missed the sign that said welcome to the outback.
We're headed for our first night.
Bless you.
We're headed for our first night in the outback. And 110 kilometres an hour is not fast enough for that person. Tonight we have our first night in the outback. We've left Port Augusta and headed north, and we're just camping off the side of the road in a spot where you're allowed to camp. There's not many other people here. Pretty much got the place almost to ourselves. Well, it's a nice cool start to the day. The sun is getting up in a few minutes. It's going to be a hot one today. Only going to be driving about 250 k's today. We stopped at this lookout over Island Lagoon for lunch. The scenery has changed as we have been driving today. We went from the bushland that we stayed the night in last night. We've come into this arid land with very few trees, rolling hills. It's just quite different. So apparently in the outback there's a one finger wave that you do to the cars coming the other way. Oh, there was water. There's water in this creek. Hot. Off-roading. That's the best part. That's the best part, sorry. Four-wheel driving in our two-wheel drive van. I mean, we've got four wheels at the back. Checking out a camp spot, but we saw a sign and we think that possibly can't camp in, so.
Now, back in the 1880s, the farmers were putting these fences around their properties to keep the dingoes away from the sheep because they were losing so many sheep, right? This particular fence was constructed in 45-46. When constructed, it was 5,400 kilometres long. 2,150 went through South Australia. There's a man in town who's got the contract to look after 327 kilometres of the fence, and he goes up and down once a month doing repairs.
Wow.
Because down here the fence gets damaged by the big kangaroos and emus trying to run through it, and also by tourists coming out here and cutting the wire. step ahead. This here is the Roman Catholic Church, right?
Yeah.
Now, we just walked through, that used to be a very basic dugout. And it belonged to a man called Frank Pestek back in 1965. In August 65, the church bought it off him, and a priest by the name of Cresp got the job of digging out the church in One Tree Hill. As you can see, all this here has all been done by hand. Right? All been done by hand.
Wow.
Now, it took him 9 months to dig this out. He had help from the community, right? You can see the shine on the wall. It's all been sealed with a clear lacquer, so it's all nice and clean. All the wires have been buried. You can't see any wires anywhere, right? Concrete floor with the vinyl on it, which is very good, right? And they put that air shaft there because the candles were causing all that black. Look at it from the candles.
Wow.
I didn't think candles did that. They decided to extend the church and they did this part here. As you can see, all this here has been done by machine.
Yeah.
Right?
You can tell, can't you?
Machine was brought in from that side, right? And they've got a great big air shaft there for ventilation. So it's all pretty good. Now it took them 9 months to dig this out. It took them 9 days to dig that out. Big difference. This church was used in the Catholic Church while this one was being built. Now they started building this in 1972, right? As you can see, it's all been done by hand.
Yeah.
It's a lot wider than the one we just come from, right? All the wires have been buried, you can't see any wires anywhere. And when they built it, first built it, it was built in the shape of a T, right? Now, it was opened as a church in 77. So then in 1980, they extended the church by doing this part here. As you can see, that's been done by machine. The machinery was brought in from there. They've got 2 big air shafts there. When they're using the church, they open them. When they're not using the church, they keep them closed to keep all the dust and dirt out, right? Carpeted floor, very comfortable, and the temperature in here will probably be around about what? 24?
Yeah, I'd say somewhere mid-20s.
25, yeah. And so it's all very comfortable. Now here, now that they did that, it is now in the shape of a cross.
Yeah.
Right? And then in the early days, Roman days, when it was illegal to be a Christian, you had to know who you were talking to. So while you're talking to somebody, if you want to know he was a Christian, you would draw half a fish with your foot on the ground, and if he was a Christian, he would draw the other half.
Yeah.
And that is the secret sign that you see,
Yeah.
right? And I'll tell you what the letters stand for. Letters stand for Jesus Christ, God's Son and Saviour. Jesus Christ, God's Son and Saviour.
10 metres to the surface.
Yeah, you're looking at it, you get both of you in it.
You can take a photo.
Does not look like a pleasant place to be locked up.
I don't know why not.
This is an original Coober Pedy dugout. It's how the pioneers of the opal fields lived.
Today, a lot of them are all done by machine, as you can see here. So a lot of it's still been done by hand. All the walls have been sealed, you can see the shine on the wall, right? Nice hard concrete floor with the vinyl and that on it, so it's all very good. Now, this gets all its air from the front door, from the shaft that you'll see when we go down the bottom. Right?
dust storm rolling in.
Now here we are in the kitchen. Now as you can see, it's not a very big modern kitchen, but it's got everything you want. Fridge, stove, wash up area, coffee machine, and your dining room table back there.
Coffee machine's the main thing.
Hey?
I said coffee machine's the main thing.
Now when it comes to the kitchen, the bathroom, the laundry and the toilets, they are always to the front of the dugout. Always, because if you have any major plumbing problems or burst pipes or anything, you'll flood out your dugout, and they're different to an above ground house because it's all solid, you know. Yeah. So everything's to the front, and it's all very easy to fix because all the pipes are short and you can see where the leaks and everything are. Yeah.
Approximately 700 metres of tunnelling in this mine that was started in 1920s.
Yep.
This is the Coober Pedy golf course. Most important rule at the Coober Pedy golf course is keep off the grass.
And another big one over there to the right of it. There's another big one just past it, right? The whole area is just lit at the chart. So you've got to be so careful driving through here, you know? Not only, there's another big one, see the big one over there?
Yep.
Not only driving through here, you've got to be careful walking through here too.
Open cut opal mine. And this is a working mine. So still active. The landscape changes once again. Around Coober Pedy there were very few trees. Suddenly just come across an area where there's trees and shape to the land, where it was so flat around Coober Pedy. This is the last roadhouse in South Australia. Northern Territory, here we come. So this is much greener than it normally would be at this time of year, because they've had quite late rains this year. It's changed suddenly again.
Yeah. Suddenly got all these landforms that weren't there before. It was just flat.
Vegetation's all changed.
About 1 kilometre from the Northern Territory border.
2 weeks ago we entered South Australia. Today we're leaving.
Made it.
Here we are, entering the Northern Territory, which is welcoming us. Thank you, Northern Territory, for welcoming us, our new home. It's a bit warmer than the border crossing at South Australia, not quite as windy. So it's currently about 40 degrees, so yeah, a bit warmer. To enter the Northern Territory. Yay!
South Australia, Northern Territory. South Australia, Northern Territory. Okay, off we go. Let's drive over the border. Here's the line. South Australia, Northern Territory. And we have a fly in the van with us. What a surprise.
It's just time travelled.
The welcome to Northern Territory. And the first sign is a towing sign. It's that one. Lincoln is perfecting his Australian wave. He's not doing it now.
Flies just down there. I'm hoping it will come up the window so I can open the window and it'll get sucked out. Lincoln is perfecting his swerving all over the road while trying to be distracted by a fly.
No one's driving if you're distracted.
We're not in South Australia anymore. Well, thanks for joining us with this episode. If you're still here, then you've got a good idea of where we are right now, and some video coming up in the next episode from around this iconic tourist location. Really significant place for the indigenous people of this area, and we're just finding it fascinating being here. But you'll have to wait until next time to see some of that. So until then, be kind and take care. See ya.